Okay, I saw that some people wanted me to make a video about the new Star Guardian cinematic, which, let's be honest, I could do that. But I'm not sure if people are just hyped about it because it's new, or if people genuinely want to know what's happening in the cinematic. So, if you want me to cover the new Star Guardians, leave a comment about it below. And if there already is a comment about it, just give it a like so I know how many of you are there. And here it is, the finale of the Lux series arrived, and with it, Riot finalized all the new relationships between the main characters. Now, before we move on with the video, it is important to tell you that you should watch our last Demacian video first. I will now recap what happened last time, so if you don't want the story to be spoiled, you should leave now. With that said, let's get on it. Last time we had a look at the Demacian story, we got the short story called Aftermath, and the 4th issue of the Lux comic. Both of these stories were focused on the fact that after Lux unintentionally let Silas go on rampage in the city, Silas broke into the throne room of the capital city, and he seized control of the entire main palace. However, when he captured Prince Jarvan, and he walked with him to the king's quarters, they found the king of Demacia dead, despite no one knowing what actually happened here. There is no trace of blood to be found, and Silas himself didn't actually want to kill the king. So the mystery of who did it is still open to speculations. After that, because Silas couldn't make fun of the king in front of the entire city, he made his son, Prince Jarvan, into his new fool. But before Silas managed to make Prince Jarvan eat a rat in front of the entire nation, Lux shot Silas with a crossbow, stabbed his foot, and Garen charged in through all the mages. And this is where the final issue begins. As you can see, the comic continues with the exact same scene where it ended. Garen takes on a couple of weaker mages, but before he has a chance to engage Silas, Lux interrupted him. She told Garen to not use his sword. This is because Garen's sword is made out of petrified steel, so over time the blade absorbed a lot of magic. By the way, this explains why Silas was able to use magic in the previous fight with Garen. He didn't use Garen's magic, because Garen is not a mage, but his blade absorbed a lot of power. There is a cool quick shot where Silas threw his chains at Garen's sword, but fortunately he missed. That's because should any part of the chain touch a source of magic, Silas would be able to tap into it even from a long distance. After that, Garen decided to trust Lux and he put his sword away, and instead he grabbed the polearm of a nearby guard. After that, the duel finally began. However, even though Silas is constantly trying to prove us that the Demacians are bad and that he is the good guy, he showed us that his moral side isn't great either, because he just tapped into the magic of his dead followers to win the fight. But even with that, he still didn't win the fight, because in all the chaos, Prince Jarvan was freed from his chains, and he surprised Silas from behind. After that, Silas was heavily outnumbered, and so he was forced to retreat. But then, something strange happened. Even though they just said that Silas was outnumbered, and that there was no way for him to win, when he started running away, Jarvan and Garen didn't follow him because it would be too risky. Sure, I can kind of understand the reasoning. Chasing mages that can hide among normal citizens wouldn't be the safest idea for a future king to do. However, you can see that the other guards and Lux do chase Silas throughout the city. But literally in the next scene, the guards vanish, and only Lux was able to keep an eye on Silas. To me, it's a little bit of a jump to go from this to this. Anyway, the mages managed to miraculously escape into the sewers, and only Lux was able to follow them. Then, as they noticed that Lux found them, they all started to fear for their lives and their families. But Silas ensured them that she will not hurt them, because even she wouldn't hurt an innocent. And with that, Lux really didn't do anything and she let them escape. The next scene takes place the next day. And here is where the story gets really cool, because as those of you who pay attention to details will know, the day after Silas escaped Demacia is the day the story Aftermath happened. So as the comic continues, the Aftermath story about Prince Jarvan and Xin Zhao is going on at the same time. Anyway, the day begins with the funeral ceremony of King Jarvan III. And while it's happening, Prince Jarvan IV, the new king of Demacia, has a really cool speech in front of the entire Demacia. He said that these are dark times, that it might seem reason for despair, that his assassins fled the city might seem like they have taken the upper hand, but Jarvan ensured everyone that they will not rest until order has been reclaimed and their future secured. In the last words of his speech, he said that the scourge of magic will be met with a fury never seen before. And remember, in the Aftermath story, we learned that Prince Jarvan did a 180 turn when it comes to magic. Previously, he was fine with it, and he could tolerate it. He even loved someone who wielded magic, which is something we learned from the previous comic, even though we still don't know who that person was. Maybe he loved Shyvana, but we really don't know where Shyvana even is now. But either way, after mages killed his father, Prince Jarvan now hates all mages. And as a result, in the next scene you can see how the rules became more strict, and now the Mage Seekers were hunting anyone who knew anything about magic. Even if you weren't a mage, not sharing information about other mages was still a crime. And here we get another plot twist, or rather a confirmation. As Garen and Lux walk through the streets, they witness how the Mage Seekers are searching the city. Here Lux realized that she had done this. Had she not talked to Silas, he wouldn't get out of prison, and the king wouldn't die. She wasn't sure what to do now, but Garen told her that she should just keep her head down and stay in the line. Of course, Lux didn't agree with that. In her eyes, Garen always knew the best what is and isn't unjust, and she told him that these people didn't do anything wrong. Lux also questioned the outcome of capturing absolutely everyone who can wield magic, but before she could finish her statement, Garen interrupted her by pulling her into a quiet street. There he explained that what's happening right now isn't about what is and isn't fair. It's about preservation of their kingdom and of Lux. Lux wasn't sure what he was pointing at. After all, she never saw Garen like this, so she realized that he was scared. Garen continued that she had no idea what was about to come. The Mage Seekers would search the entire city for any trace of magic, and they would tear open every home. And they would be able to do it because the prince appointed Garen to assist with the operation. Then Garen told Lux that the Mage Seekers would have a lot of questions about Silas and how he escaped. And the only way to keep their fingers from pointing at her would be to make them point at someone else. Lux didn't recognize Garen. He was acting differently. Usually he would rather die than take part in something like that. But the Garen that was in front of her now was something Lux was always afraid of. Then the scene cuts to a later time of the same day. The Mage Seekers were ramming doors to invade houses, but Lux knew what would happen should they get in. So instead, she showed the Mage Seekers that she was a crown guard, and she told them that she would search the house herself. When she got in, she found two child mages hiding under the table, and she did the only logical thing anyone would do in that situation. She trusted strangers and she showed them that she's also a mage, even though anyone could step in at any moment and see her. Anyway, by doing so, she did buy the children's trust, and they led her to the other mages. The scene then cuts to Dragborn, a place which you can't find on the map, and the comic explains why. It was said that Dragborn is supposed to be to the east of Demacia, but we never knew how far away from Demacia. Well, now we learned that Dragborn is still within the walls of the capital city. It is just on the eastern side. Also, this is where Silas was born. The scene shows a group of mages in hiding. They were talking about all the mage friends they had that disappeared, and they were afraid that every minute they stayed there was a minute they could get discovered. One of the mages escaped from the Demacian dungeons, so she knew the horrors the others will have to endure. But what's cool about this is that this mage is actually the very first mage we saw in this entire comic series. In the first issue, you can see her trying to run away from Garen, and you can see how they captured her. Anyway, the mages started arguing about what they should do. Some wanted to find Silas because he could help them, but others thought that Silas was as bad as the Mage Seekers. This scene showed us that just like normal people are split on the idea whether mages are good or bad, the mages are split on the idea whether Silas is good or bad. So pretty much the entire nation is torn to pieces when it comes to opinions. Either way, they were interrupted by Lux stepping into the room. Of course, at first the mages were hostile towards her, because the female mage even recognized Lux from the day Garen was chasing her, which again was in the very first scene of the entire series. But the mages calmed down after Lux explained that she was never with the Mage Seekers, because she herself was a mage. Then Lux offered them that if they trust her, she knows a secret way out of the city. And because they did trust her, Lux took them to the sewers. She told them that the way is dark, foul and possibly dangerous, but it was the only hidden way out. The sewers should end far beyond the city walls. There they would have a chance. At that point, the mages became desperate. Sure, they will have a chance, but they are still leaving everything behind. Everything and everyone. After that, the scene cuts back to the mage seekers searching the city. They caught a kid and they called Garen to inform him about it. But as Garen saw that they were about to start questioning the kid the hard way, he stopped them and he decided to take it from there and let others carry a report back to the council. Then it cuts back to the sewers. Here Lux mentioned that they would have to live in the forests. It wouldn't be comfortable, but Lux said that she would be there with them. So right now, Lux is straight up leaving Demacia too. And when one of the mages asked her why she was helping them, Lux just said that she believed that Demacia is not about fear and dungeons. It's a nation where people help one another. And this is where the important thing happened. The female mage we mentioned before offered Lux a gift. It was her own wand. A gift that would remind her who she really was. Lux accepted the gift, but she didn't know what to say, nor what to do. She never had a wand before. But as they kept going, they found that their path was blocked with rubble. Silas probably collapsed the ceiling so no one could follow. Which was an awkward situation, considering they were in the sewers, and that crap was supposed to flow away through there. But let's ignore that for a second. Because before Lux was able to think of another way out, Garen emerged from the shadows. And for the first time, he could clearly see that Lux was truly a mage. Garen felt like Lux was forcing him to constantly fight with the loyalty to Demacia, but Lux explained that he wasn't forced to do anything. It was all his own decisions. Garen then told her that he gave Lux a way out. She only had to help the mage seekers, but Lux answered that she chose to help the mages instead. At that point, Garen was lost. He couldn't pretend he didn't see this. He had to take them all in, but Lux replied that if that was the case, he would have to take her in as well. Garen refused because that would ruin her life. But again, Lux replied that it would ruin their lives as well. After that, Lux raised her new wand and she blasted through the rubble. As the mages started walking out into the light, Garen finally accepted what Lux always was. She was a mage. And in the style of 90s family show, she was also a Demacian. With that, Lux left the capital to live in the forests. Silas founded his own hidden mage camps in Demacia, and Garen returned back to the palace, where he lied to Prince Jarvan that he had dealt with all the mages. The comic series ends with Silas vowing that they will slay every lord, prince and crown guard in the land. So in the end, I am not really sure if I buy into the fact that Jarvan and Garen swapped mentalities. Garen was always someone who cut down mages no matter what, but now he is okay with them. He'll just have to fight them because he is following orders. On the other side, Jarvan was always fine with mages, but now he's turning into a cruel lord after they slew his father. I definitely thought that these two characters would develop the other ways, but honestly, I don't mind this. I am happy for any character development, and it's great to see that the story is moving forward. But if you're not happy with the outcome of this series, you can use it for memes. Loads of memes. Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have need mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.